Welcome to our today's lecture, Introduction to Cloud Computing, Google Cloud Platform and BigQuery. So we will be discussing all this topic. Let's move on to our next slide. So what we will be discussing? We will be discussing about cloud fundamental, where you will understand the core concept, deployment model, and some of the services and business value, how it can help the organization to drive innovation, digital transformation. There are various cloud service providers are there, but we will be zooming into Google Cloud Platform. On that Google Cloud Platform also, again, we have hundreds of services. I will be discussing about BigQuery because this will help us for data analytics and also many more. And lastly, we will finish it off with cloud and data analysis career opportunity. Okay, cloud computing. So if you look at the cloud computing, it's all about getting a services via internet. You just need a good internet where whatever the services that you have in demand, you can able to get that computing services. We can say server, storage, database, software, networking, even a cyber security. You can able to get it for your infrastructure, and many more advantages are there. We will be discussing in throughout our lecture. Further, it's eliminate the physical hardware. Let's say if you want to set up your own business, you need to have your own server hardware resources, which you don't need to worry about it. You can launch your company within one day, where you can able to do everything in the cloud, even within hours sometimes. And also you no need to have a huge capital expenditure, and also enable a global accessibility from any devices. Lastly, it's accelerate the innovation and deployment. Let's discuss some traditional IT versus cloud. When you talk about traditional IT, as I said previously, you need to have an on-premise server and also high upfront costs, fixed capacity, slow resources provisioning, dedicated IT staff. But when it comes to cloud computing, it's all about virtual resources. You don't need to have any resources that physically at your workspace. Pay as you go. It's like electricity bill. How much you use, you pay for it. The same way, you no need to buy a huge hardware and keep it in your place. And also any services, you pay as much you use. Elastic on the scaling. As you expand, you can be able to expand easily. Rapid deployment, and also we can able to manage the infrastructure more efficiently. Let's move on. So cloud computing basic, as I said earlier, it's access resources remotely over the internet. You just need a good internet. Now you can see everyone is using a 5G and very good Wi-Fi connections. Pay as you go pricing model, accessible via various devices like a smartphone, laptop, including a smartwatch, consists of server, database, and more. And lastly, where we can discuss about some scaling and automation. So where you can able to automate, we have horizontal scaling, vertical scaling, we will discuss in later upcoming session. Essential for a modern data driven operation. Everyone want to go towards the digital data driven. Are you ready for it? So one of the thing is you need to adapt the cloud. That will help you to store all your information and also to collect all your digital data, enhance operation efficiency for your organization. So moving on. Key characteristics again: on-demand self-services, broad network access, service via internet, resource pooling. Okay, that's another interesting one. If you want to get a very high spec hardware, you can be able to get your hardware within few seconds or few minutes sometimes. But if you want to go and buy a physical hardware, you need to have a huge cost and also manpower and also time waste. Rapid elasticity and also measure services where resource usage is monitored and built. Of course, the billing, you need to be very careful on that part. Cloud service model. So when it comes to cloud service, we have three major cloud service models are there: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. So let's discuss one by one. So if we go into, and also we have other services, blockchain as a service, security as a service, but these three are hardcore. So when you talk about infrastructure as a service, it's all about getting your virtual computing resources like a server, storage, which can help you to run your own operating systems and also other application. But when you go towards the platform as a service, where you will be able to have your development platform ready. So if you see, most of the time the developers waste time in setting up the environment. Example, I do lots of project towards machine learning and AI. Setting up the AI infrastructure sometimes is tedious and also take lots of time. Simple example, you can directly jump into Google Colab, and you can even get your managed service paid one further, where you can able to run quite number of projects in that. Lastly, software as services, where you can able to get fully all your application running over the internet. No need to install anything, no need to worry about maintenance, like example Gmail, Salesforce and Microsoft 365, and also many more example we can give on a SaaS model. Now everyone is moving towards the SaaS model, software as a service. Hope so far you're understanding about the fundamentals of cloud. Okay, let's move into a deployment model. This is one of the important aspects that you need to be aware of it when it comes to the cloud, especially in the corporate. So if you are using for the personal, if you are using for learning, it's not a problem. But if you are going to the company, if you are going to the any industrial project, you need to be very, very careful, especially in the production deployment model. So if you talk about deployment model, there are four types of it. So public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud and multi-cloud. So we will be discussing in this particular slide. So before we go into the four types of cloud, you need to ask yourself what type of services that I have, whether it's a critical service or it's just for the marketing or it's not highly sensitive information. So you need to look at that. The organization can choose any deployment model based on their security. Example, if you're working in a banking industry, if you're working in a healthcare, or you need to look at what's your main business objective. That will help you to decide on it. Okay, let's see what is this. When you talk about public cloud, it's all about shared infrastructure. You will be shared with other parties as well, which is cost effective. It will be very cheap and also easy to be scalable. Private cloud, interesting part when it comes to private cloud, where you will be having a dedicated place, like where you will have your own cloud that may be hosted in your company or maybe any other service provider, but they will be giving you the dedicated space for it, which can enhance the security, and you have a more control over your data, where it's sourced. Now, due to many geopolitics related matters, many companies prefer private cloud. And also we have a hybrid cloud. Oh, my company don't have that much budget, I need to look into a combination of both public cloud and private cloud, which is flexible and controlled. Lastly, multi-cloud. Now it's trending at the moment, where you need to have a multiple vendor. If you'd have seen last few months ago, AWS suddenly goes off. They had a huge service disruption. So it did not happen in last 10 years, but suddenly happened. So now people are looking into a multi-cloud vendor, so that you don't even have to worry about vendor lock-in. I have a separate slides on the challenge, where we will discuss about the cloud challenges. Let's move on to the next slide. Why to learn cloud computing, Mr. Riaz? I don't want to learn cloud. Why I have to learn? I don't want to learn a new technologies. See, whether you work with AI, whether you work with IoT, whether you work with the data analytics, after a certain period of time, you have some limitation in your hardware resources. That is the main reason you need to go towards. It's not only hardware resources, we need to get the services cost effective and many more. And also every organization now move towards the digital transformation, regardless of education, regardless of restaurant industry, any sectors that you go, they want to do a digital transformation. When you want to do digital transformation, one of the important aspect is a storage, where you need to store your resources in the cloud. Cross industry essential, enable advanced tech, which is artificial intelligence. If you take the cloud example in Google, we have options like a Vertex AI, where you no need to train your model, and also you no need to go through all the stages by stages. You just integrate it, you can able to make a wonder with that. And then also it's a future ready skills, high demand. Again, we discuss about how this will help you to get in the good job positioning. Okay, why again? If you look at the market, you need to look at always the investment. So if you look at all these big corporate companies, they are investing a huge money, and also the market growth related to the cloud. So if you see, it's a massive global investment leads by many tech companies. Rapid cloud adoption in enterprise startups. If you look at the example of healthcare, before COVID, we don't have any digital data. Now everyone have a digital data where it stores, and also you can look at all of our photos that we take, videos that we take. All this need to be analyzed and processed where AI needed. Our phone may not have that much capability where you can able to process in the cloud and send the results in our mobile. Government migration and workload to the cloud, strong and long-term demand for the cloud skills. Okay, this is the interesting part, Mr. Yas. Which cloud service provider I should learn about it? If you see, the most prominent player in the market is AWS, which is the market leader in the cloud. And then we have a Microsoft Azure, and then Google Cloud, IBM, Oracle, Alibaba, Salesforce, VMware, Rackspace, SAP, and many more in the market. Even you can check your local service provider. Each of it have their pros and cons. Some of it have advantages over the price. Some of it have advantages over your service. Some of them have a easy free learning resources like a Google Skill Boost, which I will be showing as well when we do a practical for a big query. So we can use the Skill Boost for the Google Cloud Learning, and also all these big service providers even give free credits where you can start to learn about it. Google give $300 free credits where you can able to experience real cloud. So many more. It depends on which region you are in, which technology you are currently using. All this thing will help you to decide on your cloud infrastructure. Okay, motivation. Why should you learn further? If you see, I want to start with the non-technical learner, because as all the organizations are now moving towards the digital business, it will help you to understand the digital business, and also it can help us on data driven. So if you see, if your all data are stored in the cloud, we have a service name called Looker, where you can able to make a dashboard, and also in other service provider they have different analytical tools are there, SageMakers from AWS. We can help us to make a decision effectively, and then it can help us to communicate with all over the world if your teams are in a different part of the world. So clear, not only different part, even within the country, it will help us analytic and product and also consulting career. So that's part of a non-technical. Look at the technical part. Okay, it's, you can see here a cloud, data, DevOps, where you have multiple tools have to be integrated to build the pipeline for the production, and also looking at the scalable system and looking at the modern architecture. We have many different architecture. If you see one of the service name called IAM, identity access management, looking at the security aspect, and then of course it's part of the competitive salary and growth. Let's look at the next slide, which is the most important thing before you jump into the cloud for your company: challenge and risk. The first thing, keep in mind that vendor lock-in with a specific service provider. So before you jump into the cloud, look at the service provider costs, look at the service provider system interoperability and compatibility with the existing approach. That's the reason that we need to look into it in the beginning itself, multi-cloud, so that you don't get into this trouble. Data transfer latency performance. So you have to see where the region is, that where is that zone the infrastructures are there. It may affect your data transfer. Compatibility with the existing system, that's what I say, that it's a legacy system, the current system that is running with you, whether it's compatible or not. Risk of data breaches and cyber security, especially if you are going to the low cost cheap vendor, you have to look into it. Of course, it's a skill gap now needed at the moment. So these are the challenges. There are many more are there. These are the common challenges that is have to be addressed before you move towards the cloud migration. So, okay, next, if you see, I can give you hundreds of case study. We can start with the Netflix, how they use cloud computing. You can talk about Dropbox, how they use it. Airbnb, efficiently manage the traffic. Zoom, AirAsia, airlines industry. You can see I have given example of case study which eBay, Finance, Reddit, Pinterest, Spotify, Slack, all of them use cloud. Okay, I'm not going to discuss which cloud service provider they use, but somehow they move towards the cloud. If you are not moving towards the cloud, if you are a company, you will be in the challenge part. And also if you're individual, if you are not learning the cloud, again you will be in the part of missing the trending technology. It's not a new anymore, everyone knows and everyone is using. Okay, the last slide. So if you look at it, career opportunity, Mr. Riaz, what should I get from doing all this thing? You can become a cloud engineer where you design the cloud infrastructure, and then you can become a data analyst, extract the insight. Now if you see, cloud and data analytics will put you in upper hand. Data engineering, okay, how to build a data pipeline. Everyone now work with AI, how the data comes to AI. Have you looked into that? And then business analysts create a dashboard, Power BI, Tableau, all these different tools can help us to build a dashboard, which we can do it in a cloud itself. Cloud consultant, so if you see the average salary, you can look at there, most of it's are above 100K. So if you are putting yourself some investment on time, I'm not talking about money, if you invest yourself some time in learning about cloud, I'm damn sure you will be successful in your career path related to the cloud. That's it from the first half. We will discuss the second half, which is goes towards the Google Cloud Platform in the following video. And also I have a video practical hands-on session which how to do BigQuery. Okay, we will be discussing this all in our upcoming session. Thank you.